wa ruriri gaka nĩ gaitũ. Gĩthomo kĩa ũmũthĩ ũreheirwo nĩ Rufroy Butchery. Ũngĩenda motungata ma nyama wikinyie Rufroy Butchery bũkĩra wa stage ya Limuru na wamũkĩre motungata ma nyama na bei bacĩrĩre.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Mbogwa from Limuru Model, and I will be taking you through Science Class 8, and I welcome all of you in this program which we have started today. We want you to participate, we want you to be part of us, and we cannot learn without you. So dear parents, allow our children to tune to RFM so that we may start our learning. This day we are going to start with a topic in class 8 on reproduction in human beings. It's the first topic in class 8. We know some of you have gone through that topic at their respective schools, but since we are starting, we will start on a neutral ground, and therefore I will take you to a journey back in class 6 where we learned about the reproductive system. And when we talk about reproduction in human beings, we cannot go without mentioning the reproductive part of both male and female. And now I'll just highlight those parts of the female reproductive system. And I wish if you are there at home, you have a pen, you can go with me and you can draw. I know you know how to draw because since you are in class 6, the teacher taught you in your respective school. So today, we'll start with ovaries. A human being has 2 ovaries. That is a woman. We have the oviduct. The oviduct, another name for oviduct is fallopian tube, and this is where fertilization takes place. I go back to ovaries. It is where ovulation takes place. We will go through those terms, ovulation and fertilization, because we cannot go in reproduction without those terms. Uterus, this is another name for womb. It is where the process of the growth of the child take place. That is the gestation period. We talk about also as we continue even in the next lessons, the birth canal. That another name for the birth canal is vagina. Then we come to the male reproductive system, just to mention the parts. Testis is one of them that produces sperms. Scrotum is a bag that holds the testis. Sperm duct, you know what is sperm duct? It carries sperms from the testis to the urethra. You know that tube inside the penis. Glands, this is where there is a production of semen which enable the sperms to swim comfortably. You know you cannot swim if there is no water. Urethra is the passage for both semen and urine. Go to penis. The work of penis is to deposit sperms into the vagina. And we come to epididymis. It stores sperms. This is a store of the sperms. Now, since we have gone through the parts of the reproduction of the reproductive system and part of the reproductive system for both girls and boys, now allow me very fast to introduce you to the meaning of the word reproduction. Just ask yourself today, if there was no reproduction, will you be there? Will I be there? Will there be many other animals in this world? It is only in reproduction that the living things are able to give rise to living offspring of the same kind. And therefore, definition of the word reproduction, this is the process by which living things give rise to live offspring of the same kind. I will repeat once again. Reproduction is a process by which living things give rise to live offspring of the same kind. You are a human being. Your father and your mother gave birth to you. They did not give birth to a dog. They did not give birth to a zebra. They gave birth to their same kind. So I also go back to those who are still at home and they are abusing others. The words like dog. There are others who are abusing other tough words or different type of animals. So you can agree with me, those are not those animals. They are human beings, since human beings give birth to human being, and that is reproduction. So we go to, who is this person that helps in the production, in the reproduction? What helps? We cannot talk about reproduction without the help of two very important, we call them gametes. These gametes, we call them A, sperm, and B, ovum. Sperms are produced by male human beings. Or we can talk of animal. If you go to the kingdom of animals, we say the male animal produces sperms. But since we are talking about human reproduction, we will say male produces sperms. Remember what we said? These sperms are produced by testes and stored in the epididymis. Sperm have nucleus. We will talk about nucleus. They have a head. Remember we talked about they have a tail. Yes. Can you think about the tail? The tail helps the sperm to swim into the womb, where after going to the womb it will proceed to the fallopian tube. We'll come to that. Go to the ovum. When it is one, we call it, when it is singular, we call it ovum. When there are many, we call them ova. This is the female reproductive cell. You can see it. It is circular in shape. You can draw a circle if you are with me. Draw another circle inside and a dot inside that circle. From inside the dot is the nucleus. There is a yolk. The way we can talk of a yolk, that egg yolk. At home I know you are very good in eating. All parents are praying that you may go back to school because your appetite has gone very high. Anyway, there is yolk. Those who love eggs, they can identify the yolk. The yolk is part of the ova. Then we have now the two important components that help in the reproduction. Now we go to the process, and we cannot go to the process without defining some very important terms. There cannot be reproduction without a term called ovulation. So I'll tell you what is ovulation. There cannot be reproduction without a term called fertilization. As we continue, we will also talk of menstruation, and we will also talk of implantation. Those are terms that I want you to listen and hear. Now we come to ovulation. Ovulation does not take place in boys. That one we have to agree. boys cannot produce ovum or ova, since ovums are produced by female. The gender is female, they produce ovum. And we can talk of ovulation. This is the release or the production. There are two terms there, the release and the production of the ovum by the ovary after 28 days. I want you to listen very well. Ovulation is a release of the ovum by the ovary after 28 days. This process takes place every time, and it cannot take every time for some people. There is something we learned in class 6 about something called puberty or puberty. This is a stage where you become an adolescent, and that one tells us a lot. You are not now just another girl. You are not just another boy. There are physical and emotional changes that take place, and most of you are a witness of this. In the recent past, in our TV, in our radio station, like in Real FM, you have heard of many cases of teenage pregnancy. Why? Since these people have reached of age of becoming parents, they can give birth. So I don't want to lose you. As children, we need you back to school, and we care for you. And that is why we brought to you this topic. It is the first topic in class 8, but I don't want it to be practical. Hatutaki uijaribu nyumbani. We want this thing, you learn about it, you keep the knowledge. I know some of you become good doctors, and after some time, when you grow up, you invite us for your colorful wedding. We come, and after that we are ready to receive those children. But right now, stay safe, especially on your side. We don't want teenage pregnancy. Take care of yourself. So why am I saying this? Ovulation cannot take place when you are not of age. So it takes place after 28 days, and we talk of teenagers. Teenagers do experience ovulation, and we are talking specifically about girls. So we go on and we say something. Ovulation occurs in the ovary, and you should know this. There are hormones that control ovulation in the body. After ovulation, the egg, that is ovum, it takes 3 to 6 days to move down to the uterus. Excuse. To the uterus. I know you know the uterus. Another name for uterus is the womb. Egg remain alive. These eggs remain alive for 2 days. If it is not fertilized, as I will talk about what is being fertilized, the egg and the thickness of the wall disintegrate. That is, they come out. And when we talk of coming out, this is what we call menstruation. Menstruation. And that is where our girls require something. They require sanitary towels. And these sanitary towels helps in this period of menstruation. Now, menstruation take place immediately after, sometimes after ovulation. So, because if there is no fertilization, there will be menstruation. And that is a test. If you go messing up, joking up in the village, you will not experience this. And that one tells you, you need to move a step ahead and consult maybe a doctor, or ask your mother what is happening. So that is menstruation, and we are still in ovulation, and I wanted you to realize what is ovulation. I will repeat again. Ovulation is a release of the ovum from the ovary. This ovary travels, it's moved between 3 to 6 days to the uterus. It stays in the uterus arrive for 2 days. If there is no visitor, this visitor, we call this visitor bwana sperm. Kama hakuna bwana sperm, unajua maisha inaendelea. And wachana na bwana sperm saa hii. So the thickness walls of the uterus come out of the body if there is no fertilization. Now let us come to fertilization. I know most of you are asking, what is this term the teacher is calling fertilization? Now, when there is sexual intercourse between a male and female, the male releases sex cell called sperms. There are millions in number, and already we have seen during the process of ovulation, at around 2 days, the ovum is waiting for Shujaa, this sperm, to come. And as it is waiting for this sperm to come, so that they may form somebody or something. This is not something, eh? We will come to that. It is not something. It is something. It's a very serious business. So when bwana sperm come, na madam ovum, they come together and they connect. You remember we talked about the nucleus. In the ovum we have the nucleus. In the sperm we have the nucleus. That process is called fusion. And fertilization, in a simple term, is the union of the male and the female gamete to form. What is it form? Listen and listen keenly. The first thing that is formed is not a baby. It's called zygote. Zygote. I want you to know the spelling of the word zygote. Z-Y-G-O-T-E. Zygote. The male gamete is a sperm, where the female gamete is a ovum. That one is obvious. We have talked about it earlier. Fertilization takes place where? Fertilization cannot take place in the bathroom. Fertilization cannot take place in the kitchen. Fertilization takes place in the oviduct. And I want to repeat it once again. Fertilization takes place in the oviduct. And as you are aware, another name for oviduct is fallopian tube. So that is where maisha inaanza ya mtoto. Na kutoka hapo tutaongea kuhusu huyu zygote. Huyu zygote, this zygote, you can see now zygote there. Zygote is in the fallopian tube. And since the zygote is in the fallopian tube, you know it cannot stay there. It has to go to a garden. As you are very aware, at home we have a garden. And those who don't have a garden, their grandmother maybe have gardens, or their neighbors have garden. In the garden, you go and sow a seed. And the seed germinates there. So this zygote cannot germinate. It cannot grow. It cannot stay there for 9 months. This 9 months, according to science, we call it the gestation period of a human being. All animals, female animals, have a gestation period. And this gestation period for a human being, we talk of 9 months. Now, a zygote, I will say, is a fertilized egg. it is also defined as a mass of cell formed immediately after fertilization. So it is a mass of cell. You cannot be able to say this is a baby. It is a cell. Ni kikitu tu. You cannot even understand what it is, but it is a mass of cell. Immediately after fertilization, a woman is said to be pregnant or has conceived. So, those who are joking around in the village, I want to urge you, we don't want to wewe ukuje shule ukiwa mtoto na ukuje ukiwa na mimba. Na wenye wamepata, there is still hope for you. We love you and we want you back to school. So, I want you to realize, when somebody is said to be pregnant, is when fertilization takes place immediately. Conception takes place in the oviduct. I will say that again. After fertilization, this is the sign that somebody is pregnant. One of the sign, we will come to that later. One of the sign or one of the indicator, one of the signal yenye inatuonyesha huyu mtu kuna mambo alifanyia kwa giza. It is ovulation. It stop, inaisha kabisa huko ndani. And menstruation stops immediately. Now, I want to ask myself some questions. Up to that point, we have covered a lot of stuff. We have gone to what is a different part of the reproductive system. We have covered what is reproduction. We have covered what is a sperm, what is an ovum. We have said what is ovulation. We have said the period of ovulation. We have said what is menstruation. We have said what is fertilization. And here now, we have a visitor called zygote. Zygote is with us here. Now, I would like to give you a short break. A short break. And through our online system in the Facebook, you can ask your questions. We will respond to those questions. Any question that you have, any query that you have. We also give you the number of the station. You can send us some questions and we will receive them. So now we want to take a short break. A short break. Then after that, I will come back to you. And after coming back to you, we will talk about somebody called implantation. Who is this implantation? You know, zygote cannot stay in the fallopian tube forever. It has to travel somewhere. And we will talk, where will it travel? Saa hii tutaitafutia passport ya kusafiri. So, now we go for a short break. Kama kuna kitu ulikuwa unachora, I want to give you some work to do. As we go for that short break, you draw an ovum and you draw a sperm. Again, if you are fast in drawing, you draw the female reproductive system. I want to request you for a very short time. Stay tuned. We will be back.
Kwenye vitabu vitakatifu, mimi enzi zangu maneno hayo sikuyajua. Nilifanya mchezo, sikuweka uzito kwenye elimu, hivyo nilishindwa kusoma. Ndio maana namuomba Mungu mtoto wangu usome. Hivyo mimi baba yako nilishindwa kusoma. kusoma. Ndio maana namuomba Mungu mtoto wangu some. Soma. Baba yako napenda. Soma mwanangu. Mwanangu soma wewe. Mwanangu soma wewe. Oh mwanangu soma. Mama yako pia anapenda. Mwanangu some. Namuomba Mungu akusaidie sana mwanangu usome. Baba yako napenda. Usome wewe. Namuomba Mungu akupiganie wewe mwanangu usome. Mama yako pia anapenda. Usome mwanangu. Usifanye mchezo ukiwa darasani mwanangu. Mimi na mama yako tunapenda sana usome. Ukifanya mchezo maisha yetu mwenyewe unayajua. Ukifanya mchezo tutakuwa wageni wa nani? Soma we. Soma mwanangu. Soma we. Soma mwanangu, pengine utakuja kutuokoa we baadaye. Soma mwanangu, soma wewe mwanangu, soma. Baba yako napenda mwanangu some. Baba yako napenda mwanangu some. Mimi baba yako sikubahatika kusoma. Soma mwana. Mama yako pia anapenda. Mtoto wangu some. Usome wewe, pengine unaweza okoa familia yetu. Baba yako napenda. Mtoto wangu some. Kazi ya ulinzi ni ngumu na vumilia usome. Soma we mwana. Mama yako pia anapenda. Soma mwana some. Nabeba kirungu na ngatwa na mbuzi kukucha kwa ajili yako mwanangu some. Baba yako napenda. Soma we usome. Maisha bila kusoma ni magumu mwanangu. Soma. Mama yako pia anapenda. Soma mwanangu. Mimi na mama yako hatuchoki kukuombea we. Baba yako napenda. Mungu akusaidie. Mungu akusaidie. Usome mwanangu. Usome. Mama yako pia anapenda. Mwanangu some. Nimebeba zege, pesa zote nimepeleka shule. Baba yako napenda. Mwanangu soma we. Robo tatu ya mshahara wangu wote nimepeleka shule. Mama yako pia anapenda. Mungu akusaidie. Tumeuza ng'ombe, pesa zote tumepeleka shule. Baba yako napenda. Mwanangu soma we. Tunamuomba Mungu wa mbinguni afanye njia.
Thank you once again. Welcome. As I told you, we are in reproduction in human beings. And to take you back to our journey, we started by identifying different part of the reproductive system between for both boys and girls. After that, we went and stated their function in a nutshell. After that, we came and defined what is a reproduction. And after defining what is a reproduction, we said of two very crucial gametes, the sperms and the ovum. And we say when it is ovum, ovum is singular. In plural, we talk of ova. Then we talked about ovulation. And after ovulation, we talked ovulation take place after how long? Don't forget it is 28 days. And after that, we talked about if there is no fertilization, menstruation take place. And this one is very normal for girls. Huh? Girls, those who are experiencing it when they are still at home, we want to urge you, don't be scared. It's very normal. Since I know some of you have not been taught this topic and they are in class 5, it might start earlier. So don't panic, don't fear. It's a very good thing for you. It shows that you are a normal person. Fertilization, we said, is a fusion of the male and the female gametes, and they form a zygote. And we have said zygote is a mass of cell, or is a byproduct of fertilization. Is an immediate product. Is an immediate product. Then after that, we said if you want to know something is not good or something wrong is happening, you know, after the birthday parties, people are going for birthday parties at night. I cannot forget to say that. And we have bash, unaambia mama tunaenda kuona mgonjwa rafiki yako na unatembelea boyfriend. Hapo tafadhali nitasema tena, we want you back to school. We want you safe. After corona, there is life. So we are saying, if you don't experience menstruation, you know, fertilization might have occurred. Kama ulikuwa umecheza mchezo wa panya na paka. Huh? So we go to implantation. Implantation. Huyu zygote, namuona sasa, zygote ako pale kwa fallopian tube. That fallopian tube, you see those that look like hands. You know there are two. There is the left ovary and right ovary. And then we talk of right oviduct and left oviduct. Those tubes, when after zygote has been formed, this zygote travel, it move, it swim. I think the place is lubricated. The word lubrication, it flows there and attach itself to the walls of the uterus. The walls, when a zygote attach itself, immediately after implantation, the zygote become an embryo. I want you to see the journey is changing now. The journey began from where? A sperm plus who? An ovum. Sperm plus ovum, that one tell you minus ovulation minus menstruation. As we go on, we are doing mathematics in science now. We have to incorporate them. After that, somebody is formed here, a mass of cells. This mass of cells is called bwana zygote. Au ni madam. Kama ni kijana ni bwana uko kwa mimba. Na kama ni msichana anaitwa madam. Kwa hivyo tutasema madam and sir. Sir zygote or madam zygote anateremuka. As it attach itself immediately after implantation, the zygote become an embryo. Embryo develops and become embryo. Akikaakaa huko anaendelea sasa kukua mkubwa. Huyu embryo tunamuita fetus. How long does it take? 6 to 8 weeks. I'll repeat that again. The journey begins at conception. After conception, bwana zygote or madam zygote. Are you together? Madam zygote anakuwa nani? Embryo. Akitoka hapo baada ya 6 to 8 weeks anakuwa bwana fetus. Na hapo akikuwa bwana fetus, hapo ndipo tunaambiwa there is a full grown baby. Hapo ukienda huko kwa scan, the doctors are able to say hapa tuko na kijana mtarajiwa au msichana mtarajiwa. So the process I will start again, because these are questions that comes in the KCPE. Zygote, embryo, fetus, full-grown baby. That is the process. Now, akiwa kule ndani huyu bwana fetus na bwana embryo, there are futures that grow. And these futures, according to the syllabus, you are supposed to know some of these parts. Some of these parts. If time does not allow us, which I know it will not allow us, I will talk of those parts next time, but I will mention them. Inside the womb, we have something called umbilical cord. Umbilical cord. I spell U-M-B-I-L-I-C-A-L and cord. Sio ile ya ODM. C-O-R-D. Cord. C-O-R-D. Umbilical cord. Then there we have somebody called placenta. Placenta. Huyu mtoto anahitaji placenta. Remember, hatumii mapua, hatumii mdomo akiwa huko ndani. Anataka kitu kinaitwa placenta. Placenta, P-R-A-C-E-N-T-A. Then there is something there we call amnion sac. Amnion, A-M-N-I-O-N and sac. Sio gunia, S-A-C. S-A-C, sac. And then we have amniotic fluid. A-M, amniotic fluid, A-M-N-I-O-T-I-C. Fluid, U-I-D. Fluid. Now, we cannot exhaustively go through the function of this item, but in the next science lesson, be prepared for more questions. Then I will tell you the work of the placenta. Umbilical cord, I will tell you what happened there inside. What happened? You will see there is much that happened there. So this time we have, I'll give you the studio number, and this studio number will help you ask us questions. We will respond to your question. You can call or SMS, call in or SMS in. We will respond to your question in the next science lesson. So the number for the studio is 0745 11 01 46. I repeat once again, 0745 11 0146. You can call and SMS. Also, you can stay tuned. I know I can see some people there at home requesting me for Facebook request. Is it allowed, lady, at your age? Okay, I don't want to comment, but you can use your mother phone to access to Facebook live. Ataenda pale a search RFM Community Radio. Hapo ataona Mr. Bogwa akifunza science. Jamaa kona spectacles, ni mimi huyo, na tutapatana, maswali tutapabana nayo. WhatsApp iko 07, the same number, 0745 11 0146. We welcome you and ask this question. Once again, I want to tell you we love you, we appreciate you, and we want you to embrace this program, since this program will help you grow and occupy your mind. It will also help you work at home and revise at home. Since schools might open very soon, we don't know when, but after being informed, we will tell you. Again, I would like you to go. This is a homework now. I know you hate homework, but you have to be given homework. Will it be called homework or COVID homework? I don't know. But it is homework either way because you are working at home and learning at home. You will draw for me and for yourself the female reproductive part and the male reproductive part and label it and state its function. Then you read further because I know some of you have books. You will read what is the function of the placenta. I want to see you responding to that. And then you tell me what is the function of the umbilical cord. Thank you very much. Once again, we want to appreciate RFM and the management and those people who have supported this program. We appreciate as teacher and we cannot take it for granted for bringing our runners close and closer to us. We appreciate. Thank you and God bless you. Since we meet next time, tapatana hapa tu. Taelezewa tapatana na mimi lini. Enjoy yourself. Thank you. Bye.
Ni maneno ya Mungu toka kwenye vitabu vitakatifu. Mimi enzi zangu maneno hayo sikuyajua. Nilifanya mchezo, sikuweka uzito kwenye elimu. Hivyo nilishindwa kusoma. Ndio maana namuomba Mungu mtoto wangu usome. Hivyo mimi baba yako nilishindwa kusoma. Ndio maana namuomba Mungu mtoto wangu some. Soma baba yako napenda. Soma mwanangu some. Mwanangu soma wewe. Mwanangu soma wewe. Oh mwanangu soma. Mama yako pia napenda. Mwanangu some. Namuomba Mungu akusaidie sana mwanangu usome. Baba yako napenda. Usome wewe. Namuomba Mungu akupiganie wewe mwanangu usome. Mama yako pia napenda. Usome mwanangu. Darasani mwanangu, mimi na mama yako tunapenda sana usome. Ukifanya mchezo maisha yetu mwenyewe unayajua. Ukifanya mchezo tutakuwa wageni wa nani? Soma we, soma mwanangu, soma we. Soma mwanangu, pengine utakuja kutuokoa we baadaye. Soma mwanangu, soma wewe mwanangu, soma. Baba yako napenda mwanangu some. Baba yako napenda mwanangu some. Mimi baba yako sikubahatika kusoma. Soma mwana. Mama yako pia napenda. Mtoto wangu some. Usome wewe, pengine unaweza okoa familia yetu. Baba yako napenda. Mtoto wangu some. Kazi ya ulinzi ni ngumu na vumilia usome. Soma we mwana. Mama yako pia napenda. Soma mwana some. Nabeba kirungu Usiku nang'atwa na mbu usiku kucha kwa ajili yako mwanangu, soma yako napenda. Tutasoma wewe usome. Maisha bila kusoma ni magumu mwanangu, soma wewe. Mama yako pia napenda, soma mwanangu. Mimi na mama yako hatuchoki kukuombea wewe. Baba yako napenda, Mungu akusaidie, Mungu akusaidie. Usome mwanangu, usome. Mama yako pia napenda, mwanangu usome. Nimebeba zege, pesa zote nimepeleka shule. Baba yako napenda, mwanangu soma wewe. Robo tatu ya mshahara wangu wote nimepeleka shule. Mama yako pia napenda, Mungu akusaidie. Tumeuza ng'ombe, pesa zote tumepeleka shule. Baba yako napenda, mwanangu soma wewe. Tunamuomba Mungu wa mbinguni afanye njia. Baba yako napenda.
Good evening, listeners of RFM 99.9, Voice of the Community. This is Mr. Mushegi from Ngenia Boys High School, and I'm here to take you through Form 4 Biology, and we are going to start with genetics, being the first topic of the Form 4. That is where we are going to start. Welcome all. Genetics, when you mention the term genetics, this is not something new to our candidates, because genetics was mentioned to you in Form 1 when you are discussing the branches of biology. It was mentioned as among the branches of biology. So, being the first lesson, we are going to look at what genetics is. We are going to look at to differentiate between heredity and variation. We are also going to distinguish between continuous and discontinuous variation. And if time allows us, we shall describe variation in plants and animals, because basically biology deals with the study of living things. So, we are going to start with introduction, and we are going to define the term genetics. If you can recall very well, I'll give you some few seconds to refresh your mind. If you can recall the definition that was given to you by your biology teacher in Form 1, the first week when you joined high school, he defined genetics as the study of inheritance and variation. Genetics is the study of inheritance and variation. I'm going to repeat that this is the topic. It is a term that was mentioned to you when you're in Form 1, among other branches of biology, if you may remember: botany, botany, the study of the plants, plant life; zoology, the study of the animal life; and many others: parasitology, microbiology, ichthyology, anatomy, cytology, so many branches of biology that were mentioned to you in Form 1. So, when you talk of genetics, being the study of inheritance and variation, the fact that the offsprings of any species resemble the parent indicate that the characteristics in the parents are passed on to the offsprings. What do I mean by this? You find that in a family, the firstborn resembles the dad, the secondborn resembles the mother, the thirdborn resembles the father or the mother. That is an indicator that characteristics are passed on from the parents to the offsprings. But once in a while we ask ourselves some questions. You find that some individuals, some siblings of the same family, in one or the other, they don't resemble each other exactly. There are some differences, although there are some similarities. You may find some slight differences between two siblings or two brothers or sisters. We are going to look at that. Genetics is supposed to, or is going to explain to us where those differences, where those similarities come from. So there are factors that determine these characteristics, what you are referring as the genes, that are passed on from the parents to the offsprings through gametes or sex cells. What are gametes, my dear candidates? What are gametes? We said that gametes are haploid cells, meaning they carry each cell carry one copy of the same chromosomes. So these gametes, we are going to look at them. So in fertilization, the nucleus of the male gamete fuses with the nucleus of the female gamete. We have said these are organism reproductive cells. Those are the gametes, the organism reproductive cells. So in males, these are the sperms. In females, these are the ova, or this is the ova, or what we call the egg cell. So during fertilization, there is that fusion, there is that joining, coming together of the male and the female gametes. The ova, that is the female gamete, and the sperm, the male, the nucleus of the male gamete, the sperm, and the nucleus of the female gamete, the ova, they come together. So the offsprings show the characteristics of both male and females. And that is what you have just said. Look at your family, where you have 2, 3, or 4 members of the family. Look at your brother. Look at your sister. Do they have some characteristics that they resemble their parents? Look at that. So genetics, as you have said, is the study of how this heritable material, operation in an individual and their offsprings, the genetic material, the genetic composition of how this heritable material operates in an organism or in an individual and their offsprings. The characteristics, the traits that you get from your father, the traits that you get from your mother, the one that you are referring as inheritable, you acquire them. They are passed on from the parents to the offsprings. How they operate, the genetics, is that entails the study of genetics. Now that you have mentioned that genetics is the study of inheritance and variation, and we have gone through inheritance, how the characteristics are passed on from the parent to the offspring. Let us look at variation. What is variation? From the word vary. This means, in simple terms, is to differ from the standard. As simple as that, to differ from the standard. Slight differences that occurs are the one that we are referring as variation. So genetics also deals with the study of differences between organisms belonging to the same species. It deals with the study of differences between organisms belonging to the same species. You are there at home with your brother, with your sister, but there are some differences. Although you are from the same parents, there are some differences between you and your brother, you and your sister. These differences, slight differences, although there are some similarities between the siblings, there are also differences. These differences are what we are referring as the variation. E.g., organisms belonging to higher taxonomic groups. You did taxonomic groups and levels in Form 1. E.g., the phyla or the class are clearly different. The phylum Chordata, class Insecta, when you come to insects and the likes, the differences are clear. But organisms belonging to the same species are similar, though they show they are similar. They show a number of differences or variation, such that even though they belong to the same species, we don't have organisms that are exact in all aspects. No matter how slight, no matter how minimal the difference is termed as variation. Look at identical twins. Look at identical twins. How do you tell that, for instance, this is A and B are identical twins? How do you tell that this is child A and this is child B, yet they are identical? How do you tell? So we are saying here that even identical twins, though similar in many aspects, in the morphology, the way they look, they are similar in many aspects, you'll find that if they grow in different environments, you will end up getting some slight differences. So we have introduced environment in our conversation here of genetics. What does it entail? We are saying that environment modifies the expression of the genetic makeup or the genotype. These identical twins, we are calling them identical because they look alike, or they share so many things in common. But you will find that in one or the other, there is a slight difference between the two. Now, that takes us to what brings about this variation. What brings about this variation? What brings about these differences in organisms, in individuals from the same parent, offsprings of the same parents, and the likes? There are two major causes of variation. This is the genes and the environment. Therefore, it is important to note that the genes determine the characteristics, while the environment modifies the expression of the character. The genes determine the character, that is, while the environment modifies the expression of that character. So, you may have twins. Then if you separate these twins when they are very young, you put one twin in a very friendly environment, whereby all the facilities that the child needs when he's growing are available. And then you take the other twin to a different environment, whereby the facilities are scarce. The facilities are scarce. Everything that the child needs when being raised becomes an issue. You will end up having two different people or two different these twins will portray different characteristics because it is the environment is different. They have not been raised in the same environment. And remember, we have said environment modifies the expression of that character. So it is important to note that. So, my dear candidates, as we continue looking at genetics, the introduction part of it, it is important I remind you that you are supposed to, by the end of this lesson that you are going to have, you should be able to differentiate between heredity and variation. Ensure as well you are able to distinguish between continuous and discontinuous variation. We are going to look at that. We have not looked at that yet. And then you should be able to to define the terms genetics, the term variation, and the term species as used in genetics. Remember, we are coming live from RFM. This is RFM 99.9, the voice of the community. My students, you can reach us. Our studio number is 0745 110146. I repeat, you can reach us through 0745 110146. Send your question. We'll look at it. We'll answer. Our Facebook page, RFM Community Radio. Our WhatsApp number, you can text us through the WhatsApp 0745 110146. Those are the numbers where you can use to reach us. Now, before we take the commercial break, now that you have mentioned variation, I would like us to look at the types of variation. Types of variation. Basically, there are two types of variation. I will just mention them. Then you take a break. Then when you come back, we'll look at the variation, the different variation. That is the two types of variation. We have two types. We have the continuous variation, and we have the discontinuous type of variation. So, after break, candidates, we are going to look at what continuous variation is, what discontinuous variation is. Meanwhile, we are going to take a short break. We'll be back in a while. Thank you.
wanapotea, wengi wakata tamaa, tunaliwa vijana, vile vile tutana, ajua ya Rabana, yeye atuongoza. Kijana, masiku zazidi badilika, kijana, soma, 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 kijana, masiku zazidi badilika, kijana, wazuri wazidi kuzaliwa, na dunia nayo yazidi badilika, kijana, wazuri wazidi kuzaliwa, na dunia nayo yazidi haribika, kijana, soma, 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 kijana, masiku zazidi badilika. Soma, 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 kijana, masiku zazidi badilika. Wazuri wazidi kuzaliwa, wazuri wazidi kuzaliwa.
Welcome back, my dear candidates. We continue with the genetics causes of variation. We have just mentioned the causes of variation. We have talked about the genes and the environment, and we have said that it is important for us to note that it is the gene that determine the character, while environment modifies the expression of that character. It is important for us as candidates to note that. Now let us look at the types of variation. And before we went for that short break, commercial break, we had mentioned that there are two types of variation. We have continuous variation and we have discontinuous variation. I would like us to start with discontinuous variation. What is discontinuous variation? Now, even before I give the definition of discontinuous variation, I would like to give you an activity, a small activity. You are there at home. I want you to try to roll your tongue. Try and roll your tongue. Try to fold your tongue. Try to fold your tongue. Good, 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 good. You are good students. Can see, and I know you are there doing, you are there rolling your tongue. You'll find that there are those individuals who can roll their tongue, while there are those individuals who cannot roll their tongues. So, what does that mean? You can either roll your tongue or not. We don't have individuals who are somewhere in between. You tell me, yes, Molim, I can roll, I cannot, I don't know, when I take this meal, I can roll. No. It is either you are able to roll your tongue or not. Good. Then that means discontinuous variation. These are distinct and clear-cut differences within a species. These are distinct and clear-cut. There are no intermediates. There are no ranges. There is no room for an individual to say that I am able to roll my tongue in the morning, I'm not able to roll my tongue in the afternoon. There was a time I was able to roll my tongue when I was a child. I think now I've grown big, I'm not able to roll. No. You can either roll your tongue or not. That is what we call discontinuous variation. It has very clear cuts of differences within a species. Think about another example. Give you 5 seconds. Think about another example whereby one individual is able to do this or possesses this and the other individual does not, or has a different is different from yours. Now, another example of discontinuous variation is the blood groups. You did blood groups in Form 2 in transport in plants and animals. That is transport in animals. That is a topic in Form 2, transport. You did that in transport in animals. And when you're talking about the blood groups, you talked about the antigens and the antibodies and others. You talked about the blood groups, and this is where I want us to concentrate on. Individuals have there are 4 types of blood groups. Namely, blood group A, blood group B, blood group AB, or blood group O. So, an individual has one of the 4 blood groups. Ask your brother, ask your sister, ask your parents, guardians, relatives who are there with you. What is their blood groups? Mine is blood group O, positive. And blood group O, among the 4 blood groups, blood group O. What do I mean? We have said that it has clear cut differences within the species. That is a discontinuous variation. We don't have an individual who is blood group A at the same time is blood group B. You are either blood group A, B, AB, or blood group O. For a stop. It is that clear. We don't have any other blood groups, and you cannot have 2. Your blood group A, B, AB, or blood group O. Distinct and clear cut differences. That is discontinuous variation. Think of another example. Albinism. Albinism. We shall look at albinism later in the course of this genetics, in a study of genetics. But for now, you want to look at it as an example of discontinuous variation. How? You are either an albino or not. You cannot be in between. You are either an albino or not. That is a discontinuous variation. And I would like you, my students, to give 2 more examples. During your free time, go through your books, do a bit of research. Give 2 more examples of discontinuous variation. I've given you 3. Ability to roll your tongue, blood groups, and albinism. So, I want you to add 2 more during your free time. Now, so when you talk of these are distinct and clear-cut differences within a species, we are simply saying that discontinuous variation is determined by the action of a single gene present in an individual. it is basically determined by the action of a single gene present in an individual. That is discontinuous variation. Now, let us look at the second type of variation, which we are referring it as continuous variation. The differences between the individuals are not clear-cut. The differences between individuals are not clear-cut. It is not distinct. It is not clear. The differences between the it is not clear. It has there are some intermediates between any two extremes. Now, for instance, if we talk of hate, it is relative. It depends. Someone will say that this person is tall. Someone else will say that this person is short. We have even had people arguing that I am tall, I am taller than you, I am tall, the other person is short. Why do you have all these arguments? Because hate has no clear cut. One is 1 point something meters, refer himself or herself as tall. Hate. Weight. We look at another one is weight. 50 kilograms. Students of the same class, one will weigh 50 kilograms, another one will weigh 55, another one 60, another one 30. There are no clear cut differences. It has a variety. It has a range. If you do a sample in a class, you will find that student A is 45 kilograms, student B is 30 kilograms, student C, and so on and so forth. You will have, if you are to indicate or to write that on the chalkboard, you will have so many kilograms written there, because it has no clear cut. Unlike the discontinuous variation, if you are able to roll your tongue, you will just draw a table. Those who are able to draw and those who are not able to draw. Those who are able to roll a tongue and those who are not able to roll the tongue. But when it comes to continuous variation, as the word suggests, continuous, it continues. We don't have intermediate. There are intermediates between any two extremes. It is that open. So, continuous variation are due to the action of many genes, e.g. the skin complexion in humans. How do you say that this person is dark, the other one is a bit bright or light in terms of skin complexion? It is not clear. It is not distinct. Someone that I may refer as a bit lighter in terms of skin, someone else will say a different person. It all depends. And I have said that these are some of the arguments that you find even in the normal classroom. Students arguing. Mimi ni mweupe kukuliko. Mwingine mimi ni mweusi kukuliko. Those kind of arguments, you will find them there. Because they are not clear. They are not clear at all. So in continuous variation, environment has a modifying effect in that it may influence or suppress the expression of gene. I just want to remind you, we said that the role of the environment in this is to modify the expression of the character And you have we are now getting it in continuous variation, that environment has a modifying effect in that it may enhance or suppress the expression of genes. To modify, to make it appear phenotypically observable, where you can see. To suppress, to make it dormant, not to be able to, it is not showing up, it's now suppressed. You have heard people, and you have seen people, when the one works in or they travel to different places. You travel to Mombasa, someone else travel to in a place where in a different place. You have heard people saying that umekuwa mweupe, umekuwa mweusi. These are the effects of the environment. The environment modifying the effect, modifying the effect or suppressing the expression of that gene. So, height, weight, skin, complexion, all these are examples of continuous variation. And mark you that in most cases, continuous variation is a result of environment. In most cases, continuous variation is as a result of environment. And that's why when you meet a person that you had not seen for quite a number of years or quite a number of months, the first thing people will tell you that you have changed. You have grown big. You have become light. But the blood groups, nobody will tell you that your blood group has, no, it cannot change. If it is A, it remains to be A. So, I'm emphasizing on this, that there is a great role that is played by the environment on continuous variation. And this continuous variation, it is determined by the action of a single gene. I want us to get this clear, or to see the differences between the two, because this is something that you'll find not only in the exams but also in real life situation. Because after this lesson, you should be able now to you should be able to know that in blood groups there are distinct and clear differences. In weight, height, and skin complexion, there are intermediates between. Now, because so that this argument that is there, you should be able to know that when people are arguing because of height, weight, and skin complexion, you'll just be laughing and know that, yeah, they're arguing and that is okay, because that is the effect of environment on some, and it's the effect of environment modifying. The environment has modified some effects on the gene that had been suppressed, something of the sort. Now, it is important that we have mentioned continuous variation, and we have mentioned discontinuous variation. I would like us to go to continue and have a summary of what you have said. We go through, we have a summary of what you have discussed today before we end. Remember, this is just introduction. We will go deeper. We will go deeper into genetics, one of the topics that students love so much, because they have so many questions By the time you are by the time you are 5 or 7 years, you start asking yourself so many questions. Why so and so resemble mom? Why do I resemble my grandfather? Why am I tall, yet my parents are short? So many questions. But we are going to answer those questions as we progress, as we go deeper into genetics. Today, we were just looking at definition, we are just looking at the introduction part of it. What is genetics? We have defined that. The study of inheritance and variation. Remember, this is a branch of biology that deals with inheritance and variation. It deals with the study of how variation, that is the differences, occur between parents and their offsprings. So that you don't feel like you don't belong to that family because your color complexion, your skin complexion is totally different from the others. No. Genetics should be able or is going to explain to you why all those differences occur. It is also concerned with how various characteristics are passed on from parents to offsprings. You have heard people saying that whatever he's doing, his dad was also doing. That this character reminds me of his grandparents. He reminds me of his uncle. He reminds me of his father. So it also explains how these various characteristics are passed on from parents to offsprings. Then we have also mentioned about gametes, something that a very important term to note. These are organism reproductive cells. Reproductive cells. We have talked about the male gametes fusing with the female gametes. Then we have also looked at how the offspring show characteristic of both parents and both male and females. We have also defined variation. We have looked at the variation. It is a slight change. It is a slight difference from the standard. And how genetics deals with this study of differences between organisms belonging to the same species. Because it is important to note this so that you are able to explain to our brothers and our sisters, and when you become a parent, you'll be able to explain to your children the differences if they will be there. We have also looked at how the identical twins, though similar in many aspects, are being different if they grow in different environment. They may become different if they grow in different environment. That brings about the effect of environment, the work of environment on genetic makeup. It is used to modify, to show expression, to modify the expression of the genetic makeup. And finally, we have talked about the causes of variation, that is the genes and the environment. We have looked at the types of variation, continuous variation, discontinuous variation, and I believe now you know whether you're able to roll your tongue or not. And remember, you're not superior if you're able to roll your tongue, or inferior if you're not able to roll your tongue. Don't go condemning those who are not able or those who are able to draw. No. It's just a variation, a slight difference change in the genetic makeup. Thank you so much, my listeners, my dear candidates. I want to thank RFM. Thank you so much, RFM, the management and the entire team, for giving our dear candidates an opportunity to continue with learning, despite the fact that there is this COVID-19 pandemic. Learning continues. We don't have enough words to thank the RFM, but we are just praying for them, and we thank you so much for having in mind our dear candidates. Thank you so much. Remember, I'd given you our numbers, 0745 110146. You can send your question there. We are on Facebook, RFM Community Radio, and you can WhatsApp us on 0745 110146. Till next time, thank you so much for your time. We shall meet next time. Thank you.
Soma, 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 kijana, masiku zazidi badilika, kijana.